The Holy Gospel according to Luke, as found in the 12th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said, I came to bring fire to the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. I have a baptism with which to be baptized, and what stress I am under until it is completed. Do you think that I have come to bring peace to the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. From now on, 5 in one household will be divided. 3 against 2, and 2 against 3 they will be divided. Father against son, and son against father. Mother against daughter, and daughter against mother. Mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say, it is going to rain. And so it happens. And when you see the south wind blowing, you say, there will be scorching heat. And it happens. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of earth and sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time? The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, I know I said last week that I preached on last week in this week's text from Hebrews, but I'm cheating and I'm going back again because of that word, therefore. This is a good word to watch for when you're reading the Bible. It usually means that the author is going to make a particularly important point, and that point will be based on what he or she has been saying just because the therefore. So, all through chapter 11, the chapter that precedes this word, the author of Hebrews has been listing people whose lives have been a witness to God. By faith, these people, named and unnamed, have done remarkable things. Therefore, by their example, we are called to put off every weight and the sin that clings to us, to release anything that may be an encumbrance in our journey of faith. No specific sin is mentioned, probably to allow the reader to fill in with whatever sin has been plaguing him or her. This is both preparation for and a part of running the race that the author is referring to. We are called to prepare ourselves for a moral and ethical struggle involving rigorous training, self-discipline, and intensive effort. A struggle in which we are to persevere, enduring in the face of hostile forces. And this race, this struggle, is to be entered into while looking to Jesus. The form here literally means looking away to, which implies looking away from everyone and everything else in our lives and focusing only on Him. Jesus will be our guide and aid on this journey. Now, it's important to notice that the author uses the name here, Jesus. This writer is speaking of the historical Jesus, who was one of us, tested as we are, subject to suffering and death. This Jesus is an example in ways that those mentioned in chapter 11 never could be. He is the founder and perfecter of our faith. He was the first to attain faith's goal, the presence of God. And He is the one who makes it possible for others to attain this goal. But after all this talk about Jesus, I find myself wondering about something. Why did the author spend so much time before this going on about the faith of mere humans? Why do we need to hear about all those people in chapter 11? What can these heroes of the faith, as they are so often called, offer us that Jesus cannot? Let's look at the list in today's reading. We have the Hebrew people as they came out of slavery. By faith, they passed through the Red Sea as though on dry land. Of course, these are the same Hebrew people who winded their way all the way to the Red Sea, and then after their miraculous crossing, built and worshipped a golden calf while Moses was up on Mount Sinai receiving the commandments from God. We have Rahab, who by faith helped Joshua bring down the walls of Jericho by hiding the men sent to spy out the city and its defenses. She's also mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew. And she's also a prostitute. And then there's Gideon, a judge of Israel. He did many great deeds in the name of the Lord. But he also asked for multiple signs from God just to be sure that it was really God speaking to him. Barak was a great general who led the Israelites to victory over the armies of Jabin. But Barak questioned God's call to enter the battle, so the real victory, the capture and death of the general Sisera, was given to a woman, Jael the Kenite. And then there's Samson, another of Israel's judges who had a weak spot for a woman named Delilah. And Jephthah, he made a rash vow that led to him offering his only daughter as a sacrifice. And David, well, this is King David, and what can we say about David except Bathsheba? And Samuel, he was the last judge of Israel, the one who anointed Saul as king. This is quite an interesting list of exemplary faith examples. Samuel is probably the only one I would include when talking about people who are shining examples of service to God. And this is one of the most important things that these people have to teach us. Jesus may be the perfect example of faith and service to God, but we are not Jesus. We can never be Jesus, and we should not ever expect to be perfect. Think about the way that we as Christian congregations used to view our pastors. We put them on a pedestal and could think no wrong of them. I was actually lucky when I was a child because my pastor, Pastor Hoff, was one of my father's best friends, and his daughter was one of my best friends. I had the chance to see him in the role of husband and father, not just as pastor. He was and still is a very important example in my life as a person of faith, but I've always known that he was human. Who have been the heroes in your life? Who has influenced your life of faith? It might be a parent, a spouse, a friend, maybe a historical figure that you've never met. How have they influenced you? Was it a big moment, one that changed the direction of your life? Or was it someone who was just a quiet, constant presence, someone whose life spoke of a deep, abiding, lifelong trust in God? We each have our own cloud of witnesses who have people who have shown us the way. I mentioned my childhood pastor, Cameron Hoff, but there were others at Mount Olive, my childhood church, who helped set me on the path. Throughout my life, there have been people who have demonstrated the strength of faith that has taught me how to carry on in difficult circumstances. Who has been a witness in your life? Who placed you on the path? Who has accompanied you along the way? I invite you to take some time over the coming week to make your own list of the heroes of the faith. If your list includes friends or family members, you might have a picture you could dig out to remember their contribution to your life of faith. For historical figures, you might consider doing a little research. You could look them up online, Google them, or go to your local library, old school, and find a book or an encyclopedia. Whoever you include in your own roll call of faith, remember that these faith leaders, like those listed in chapter 11 of Hebrews, are human beings. You don't need to be perfect to be a hero of the faith. And who knows? You might end up on someone else's list. Amen.